Being from the great state of Ohio, I'm a huge Ohio State Buckeyes fan. A little less than a week ago, one of the biggest rivalry games in Ohio and college football history took place, and I watched JT Barrett and his team beat Michigan. It was a great feeling. Do you know what isn't a great feeling? Knowing that JT lives, eats, sleeps, and breathes Buckeyes football, and doesn't get any compensation for all the work that he puts into the team. JT has spent his entire summer for the last 4 years training to be the quarterback that his team and all the fans that he carries on his back needed him to be. He spends hours on end practicing to make the entire state of Ohio proud. Not to mention, he does all of this while also being a full-time college student. Picture this: JT wakes up on a Monday for his 8 a.m. class, which is followed by a 10:15 class. He gets an hour for lunch, which he spends either in the gym, on strength training, or in the library finishing a paper. Then he has another class at 1:30 that lasts until 4 p.m. He goes home, grabs his practice bag, and heads to the practice, where he stays until 9:30 or 9:45 at night. When he gets home, he eats a pack of ramen and works on finishing his assignments until he falls asleep, only to wake up tomorrow and repeat. When does he have time to work? He doesn't. I'm a college student myself, and I spend all of my open time, and if I spent all my open time on the practice field instead of being at my job, I wouldn't even be able to afford ramen. There's an ongoing debate about whether paying college athletes would be harmful or beneficial, but paying college athletes actually has a potential to be a benefit not only to the player but to the university as well. In order to understand this ongoing debate, we need to take a look at the concerns that many are having about paying college athletes. From what I understand, based on the article I read, these college athletes would be getting paid a ridiculous amount of money a year depending on how much it costs to, one, go to the school, and two, if the school is out of state or not. So let's say it costs $40,000 a year to go to the school out of state. So instead of getting the money for the scholarships, you would receive this and use it for living expenses. John R. Thelen, the author of Here's Why We Shouldn't Pay College Athletes, says there's a $100,000 salary. That $100,000 salary is impressive. A future Heisman winner might command more than $100,000. But $100,000 is not bad for an 18-year-old high school recruit. But since it's a salary, not a scholarship, it is subject to federal and state income taxes. This makes the average worker curious as to where the money would be coming from. Most think that the money would just come from the athletic department's funds/salaries, and personally I think the amount is way too much. I believe that the players should be paid just enough throughout the year so that they don't have to worry about juggling a job, classes, and their sports at all at the same time. It is also important to understand what the arguments are as to why college athletes do deserve to be paid. Imagine if there were no student athletes to compare the sporting events, or to compete in sporting events like March Madness or the college football playoff. Student athletes are the ones who make some of the most watched sporting events even possible. For example, just this past weekend, over 20 million viewers turned in to watch the Ohio State versus Michigan game. The idea that without the college athletes, sporting spectacles wouldn't exist is the point that Michael Wilbon, a co-host on ESPN, uses to support his argument in the article College Athletes Deserve to be Paid. Paying athletes out of the university's athletic department is not only unrealistic, but is also probably not possible. However, television networks make large deals with college athletic conferences to broadcast certain sporting events. Wilbon discusses an $11 billion contract between the NCAA and CBS Sports. Deals like these are the type of funding that could be used to pay college athletes. Wilbon also explains the best football and basketball players in the Big Ten have produced to the degree that a television network has become the model of every conference in America, a network worth at least tens of millions of dollars. Yet no player can benefit from that work. Basically, college athletes boost the ratings for television networks, which makes the networks more money, but the athletes don't profit from any of their own production. Essentially, college athletes deserve to be paid. They work hard and produce exciting sporting events, and they deserve comprehension. They deserve to be compensated for that. Joe Nocera, the sports business for the New York Times, offers an interesting and practical approach to how college athletes can be paid and how it can benefit the university at the same time. Nocera explains that in order to make themselves more attractive to prospective student athletes, universities will spend a huge amount of money improving their facilities. However, paying student athletes to play is potentially cheaper for the university and also more enticing for the athlete. Nocera also offers that there will be a minimum yearly salary that each athlete has to make. For example, being $25,000. So now, not only do the student athletes get compensated enough to provide themselves, but the universities reap benefits as well. Nocera says universities could hit up boosters to put money into a fund. Tax deductible under current tax law. They would diminish their incentive to sneak money and benefit to the athletes under the table. As you can see, there are two sides to every story. Some people question the equal distribution of compensation between athletes and where the money to compensate them would even come from. However, through television network deals and player product endorsement, the funds could be made available. What it comes down to is this: we all love football on Saturdays, and we all love March Madness too. Without the student athletes, we wouldn't be able to watch these thrilling events. They deserve to be paid for the work they put in, both on and off the field.